Thanks for checking out this horror movie superlatives video. So, yes, we are back. It's been about a year now since we covered the 1990s for horror movie superlatives. Me and your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, that is, whose channel is linked in the description. So, as a refresher, we're going to go over every single year of this, in this case, the 2000s. So, from 2000 to 2009, and then we'll do an overall for the entire decade for our superlative categories that include most amazing, best so bad it's good, most WTF, best gore, most unique, most overrated, and most underrated. So it's going to be a lot of movies. One of the rules is it has to be a movie that we've seen. So, like I've said in some of these before, if you're thinking that there's something better for these picks, it could be because we haven't seen it before. You can ask those questions in the comments. And also, we just encourage you to get involved and give us your picks for these, for all these superlative categories, because that's a lot of the fun of it, is finding out whatever everyone else has to say. So I'm just going to kick it off. This is the year 2000 for it, and I'm just going to get right into it. I do have visual aids for some of these, and first one included. So for the most amazing horror film for me of 2000, it has to be Ginger Snaps. Big fan of werewolf films in the first place. There aren't nearly enough good ones, and this is one of the best out there, in my opinion. It is a phenomenally done horror film that is about two sisters, one of which ends up being bitten by a werewolf, and then she ends up starting to have these changes at the same time that she's dealing with becoming a woman in life and kind of separating from her sister. So it deals with a lot of interesting subtext within the film that is a little bit stronger than subtext, but it's done in a very good way. It's a very good werewolf film. Like I said, it's very dark, but also has a little bit of a comedic edge to it from time to time. Dark comedic edge. And it's, it has a really good ending as well with a lot of impact. And this is just a really well thought out and well shot film. The acting is really good in it as well. I love this film. That's why Ginger Snaps is my pick for the most amazing horror movie of 2000. Now going on to the next category, which is the best so bad it's good film. Now, some people may debate, is this actually a bad film? In certain ways, yes. In other ways, no. So I'm choosing it as my best so bad it's good film. Well, first I'll tell you what it is the Japanese film Versus. This is, I could see some people saying, is that really horror? It is horror aspect. Basically, the story, if you don't know it, is about a guy who dies. He goes into Resurrection Forest. It's literally this forest where if people die within the forest, they come back to life. So he, in essence, ends up fighting a slew of zombies. Now, the reason I say it's best so bad it's good is because there's really no story to the film. The whole story is this dude in a forest fighting resurrected dead people. I think there's a bit of like a Yakuza aspect to it. And then that's about it. But where it's fun is it has awesome choreography to it. It's martial arts. Like, it's just fun action for pretty much the entire film. It has great pacing where that's concerned. It just keeps going and going and going. And it's just a cool, fun movie. If you've never seen Versus, check that out. It is a Japanese film, but there's almost no dialogue in it. It is all about the action. And it is just so much fun. Definitely check out Versus if you haven't. But like I said, because there's really no story is why I picked it for best so bad it's good, because it's bad in the sense that it's not a compelling story at all. It's just the action that's compelling, really. But Versus, my pick for 2000 for the best so bad it's good. My next pick, I don't have a visual aid for, the most WTF film. It's a Troma. Not a big surprise there, because Troma does WTF quite well. Citizen Toxie, The Toxic Avenger 4. This one, like other Toxic Avenger films, throws a lot of wild stuff out there. It's got really over-the-top, crude, lewd, sometimes hard to justify nowadays humor, and it just goes. It throws everything, including the kitchen sink, at everything. And in this installment of Toxic Avenger, it's Toxie going up against Noxie, who's literally the Toxic Avenger from the Bizarro world, opposite universe, and they end up switching sides. So Toxic Avenger is a bad guy in the opposite world, and he's a good guy in the real world. And then it's what happens when they switch places and people realize, oh, this isn't the good guy. Oh, this isn't the bad guy. So it's an interesting premise. It's kind of a fun premise to it, as far as this type of film goes. But it's just so, everything's so left field. A lot of the humor is just so left field and so over the top that it's actually not even that funny. It's just very cringy, really, in my opinion, especially as it's aged from the year 2000, which really wasn't that long ago. But it's yeah, it's just not a great movie, but it definitely hits the WTF because it goes over the top so many times with the type of humor that it uses and with the specific things that it does and the gore elements, and it's zany. Like all the Toxic Avenger films, it's got that zany edge to it, which I think contributes to a WTF aspect. So that's why my most WTF of 2000 is Citizen Toxie, the Toxic Avenger 4. My next one, I do have a visual aid for. Best gore. That has got to be American Psycho. And I'm sure a lot of people would have picked American Psycho as their most amazing film for 2000. I understand that fully. I thought about it as well. But I think it fits better for me with the gore category, especially with Ginger Snaps being my favorite. Literally about a guy who's this kind of straight-laced, everyday businessman named Patrick Bateman, played by Christian Bale, who does a wonderful job at being emotionless. He's a serial killer by night, and it's about his exploits, just killing women, basically, luring them to his house with his blah charms. I'm a businessman. Look at my suits. Look at how immaculate my apartment is. And having sex with them and then murdering them in grand style. One kill in particular, very famous from this film, where a woman is running away from him down a stairwell and he drops a running chainsaw on her. Don't know how his aim is that good, but sure. But it's those types of things that are really disgusting. And the gore is very well done with it. Now, this is based off a book that I know some people who have read who have said the book is even more gory and messed up. So if you're interested in that, you can end up checking that out. So American Psycho, my pick for the year of 2000 for the best gore. Good movie, too. My next one I do not have physically. Most unique. The most unique has to be The Cell. Now, this is a film that was directed by Tarsem Singh, and it's a very interesting film. It stars Jennifer Lopez and Vince Vaughn and Vincent D'Onofrio. Now, Vincent D'Onofrio plays a serial killer who has abducted a woman. And Vince Vaughn is working, I think he is with the FBI, and working with them with this new technology where they can go inside the mind of of the serial killer, who they do end up catching, to find out where he stashed his latest captor. So Vincent D'Onofrio is like out of it for the whole movie, and they use this technology to send Jennifer Lopez into his subconscious and find her way through it to be able to find some clues as to where this woman's held so they can, bust her loose. Now, the reason it's so unique, well, that's an interesting premise right there. But the reason it's so unique is the way it is shot. It looks gorgeous. It is a beautifully shot film with a lot of very interesting color pops in the way that the sets are set up. Now, this is something that Tarsem Singh does in pretty much all his films. Very visually pleasing when it comes to that. And it's no exception with The Cell. The Cell is a gorgeous, but also very disturbing and gross and messed up film at the same time. And everything comes together in such a great way. And it's just very cool to see how the beauty and the disturbing kind of come together and create something very visually appealing, but very viscerally, what's the word I'm looking for? Detracting, basically. It repelling is probably a better word for it. But yeah, I mean, it's a very unique film, and that's why my pick for the most unique film of 2000 is The Cell. So my next film also don't have a physical copy of, and it's a good thing because it's the most overrated film of the year. So for 2000, most overrated film, Scream 3. First of all, I think the Scream franchise in general is overrated because people go wild over it, and for the most part, it's not that good. The first film I think is very good. I am a big fan of that one. And actually, the last two that they put out, I thought were solid. Actually, not bad, which is impressive for later installments in a franchise. But number two is awful. Number three is also pretty awful. Although, do I think three is better than two? I don't know. They're pretty much on the same level for me. But basically, you're bringing back a lot of the same characters from one and two. You're getting Nev Campbell, you're getting Courtney Cox, you're getting David Arquette. You even end up getting Jamie Kennedy's character, who died in the first one. They bring him back in the third one through watching VHS tapes of him explaining more horror movie tropes, and it's ridiculous and it's stupid. And they always need to have some sort of like interesting meta twist on things, and they do that in this film, but it's not actually that interesting. It's definitely to the point of being overplayed, and I would actually argue that in the second film it was already overplayed because you did it in the first film, so it's not that interesting to do something like that for the second film. And then you're going to do it a third time, and it's even less interesting at that point. So it's a diminishing returns franchise, in my opinion, for the most part, and it's not great. So that's why my pick for most overrated of 2000, 100% Scream 3. And people go wild over the whole franchise. I don't understand it. But hey, to each their own. So then that brings me to one that I do have a visual aid for. The final one, the most underrated horror film of 2000. And it's actually an anime. And I'm interested to see if there are any other people who have seen this before. Put in the comments if you had. That is Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. You wouldn't be able to tell it from this DVD cover. I'll show you the back of it. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. Just to prove to you that that's what this is. So yes, this is an anime that is literally about a vampire hunter who is brought in to go after a very notorious vampire who has stolen a woman of stature within this town, this community. And it's done with very well done, kind of typical what you expect anime, art style. So it looks phenomenal. The story moves at a really good pace. And one of the things that I like the most about it is it's one of those films, and anime does this a lot of times, where it's this journey that D, who's with the vampire hunter, they call him D. D is going on this journey to follow this vampire, and it's a race against time before he bites her, basically. And it's about all the stops that he has to make in order to fight these bosses. So it's kind of video game style-ish, where he has to stop and fight these bosses that are a part of the main vampire's cadre. And it's always fun to see what these bosses' special abilities are, because they all have their strength, their special ability. There's one guy in particular who's able to like hide in shadows. He literally can like go inside of shadows and travel that way. That's one of the really cool ones, but there's so many cool ones in there. If you're a fan of anime and you've not seen Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, this is a very big anime actually out there, especially in the horror community. So I'd be surprised if you're a horror anime fan and you haven't seen this, but if you haven't, definitely go ahead and check it out. I think this is a severely underrated film because it's so cool and stylish and fun, and it's anime, and you don't get a whole lot of good horror anime that's recognized out there. So my number one underrated horror pick for 2000, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. That's it. So that's what I have for 2000. Look forward to doing 2001 and all the way through 2009, and even more so looking forward to doing the wrap up where I'm doing overall for the whole decade. That's going to be super fun. But like I said, give us your picks. That'd be great. Do us both a favor. Hit subscribe to our channels if you haven't already. That's the best way to repay us for all our free content that we're putting out. Hit the thumbs up on any of our videos. That helps with that YouTube algorithm. And hit the notification bell button if you want to know when we're putting out new videos, which we're doing a good amount. Between the two of us, it's a lot to watch. But thank you so much for checking this out. And until next time, keep it brutal.